Yeah, so welcome back to yet another video on discrete mathematical structures. Today we'll take our discussion on functions further. In our previous video, we saw some basic definition about function and we said that okay, this is something which is a special kind of relation only. Right, so your function is nothing but a special kind of relation only, and relation we have thoroughly studied. So then we looked into your classification of functions, where we said that broadly it is classified into algebraic and your transcendental functions. And in today's discussion we are going to talk about the types of functions. So we are going to look into what basically the injective is, what basically your surjective is, or it is also called as onto functions. What is a bijective function, which is one to one, or what is an into function, many to one or many one function, identity function, and your constant function. Right. So many one or many to one is the same thing. So let's start with the basic one, which is your injective. So a function, let's say we have f, which is from set A to B, sorry, some technical glitch. So a function f which is from A to B is said to be injective if whenever A and B are elements of A such that A is not equal to B, and in that case your f of A is not equal to f of B, which means that distinct elements of set A are mapped into distinct elements of set B. Right, so how we can draw it? That let's assume I have this as A, I have this side as B, and then I have a function f. So I see a one-to-one mapping. Let's say there are 4 elements, so it's like a mapping is done here, mapping is done here, and we see this kind of setup. So for each element it is map, for each element in a mapping is done to each element in B which is unique, so distinct. So 1 2, it's like injective one. Now there is another kind of function which is your surjective. So what it says is that a function f which is from A to B is surjective if for any value of y in B, there is at least one element x in A for which your f of x equals to y. That is, if every element of B is the image of some element in A. So how it is going to look like? Let's say I have once again A on this end, I have B on this end, and once again I have F. So let's say I have like 4 elements here, I have let's say 3 elements here. So I have this kind of setup, I have this kind of setup, I have this kind of setup, I have this kind of setup. So what it says is that every element of B is the image of some element in A, right? And if suppose I find that, let's say I have A this end and B on this end, and let's say I have a function f, and then I have a function f, and in between I observe this thing, right, that for this there isn't any image. In that case, this is something which is not surjective or onto. Right, this becomes something which is not surjective. That means you are not onto. So for every element, see, it's like for every element in B, there will be something in A. Now, afterwards, let's talk about the next one, which is your bijective function, or which is called as your one. So what this bijective function, which is called as one-to-one, says that a function that is both injective and surjective, the previous two which we studied, is called a bijection or one-to-one. So that what it means is that I have definitely, there will be like some elements which will be there in B and which will be there in A. There will be a directly mapping, and it will be a combination of it. Right, this is going to be the combination of. So in this kind of setup, what we can observe is that since it is a combination of the previous two, so we'll have like one-to-one correspondence, so one-to-one mapping would be there. So we might have got an idea from this that if suppose I have your A and B and I have your function f, then obviously let's say there are 4 elements, right? Then there will be a one-to-one mapping. Now looking at this particular diagram, you may say that this bijective is almost equivalent to your injective, but no, there is a difference, because your injective function need not attain all elements in the codomain, but they can, right? So bijective function must attain all. That means like no, all elements of the domain must be mapped, right? So there is like a very small difference between these two things, and in fact you can also see the difference between your injective, surjective, and even. Now the next function is your into function. So let's see what basically this into function is. So what it says is, what the definition says is that if suppose I have a function f from a to b, and it is called into function, if and only if there exists at least one element which is there in B, which is not the image of any element in A. That means range of F is a proper subset of codomain of F. Right, so probably this is a very simple definition, so I'm not adding any image, and I'll take the discussion further to many to one function. So in this case, in fact, from the name itself, you might have got an idea that a function f, which is from A to B, is said to be many to one, or simply many one, if two or more elements of A have same image in B. Right, that means like two or more elements in A will be pointing towards an element in B. Let me explain you with the help of a simple example. Right, I have like A here, I have B here. So let me say 2, 3, 4. On this side I have like 1, 2, 3, and I have function f here. So there is like a mapping like this, like this, like this, and like this. So what we observe is that this one is something which is resulting into many to one, right, based on these two things. So this is resulting into a many to one function. Now the next one is your identity function. Yes, from once again the name itself, you might have got an idea that this is going to be a very simple one, right? Let A be a non-empty set. So your function f which is like from a to a, defined by simple f a to a, will always be like by f of a is equals to a for every a which is an element of a is called an identity function for a. Now, a point to note is that an identity function is a bijective function. Denoted by IA for a set A. Now, bijective was your one-to-one, and this is what we are getting from A to A only, right? So it's like I am doing it for like f of a equals to a for every a which is existing in A. So it will be a bijective. The reason being, for every element in A we will be mapping to and every element in A. That's why it is an identity function. So once again, I am not going to draw the diagram for this. Now let's talk about the last one, which is a constant function. So a function f which is like from A to B is called a constant function if some element B which exists in B is assigned to every element of A. That means my f of A is equals to B for every A which is existing in A. So what it says is that there will be like some element in B which can be in a form of small b is assigned to every element of A, right? So it would be like all the elements which are there in A will be moving towards a single element which is B, right? So once again a simple one, and I am not going to draw a diagram for it. Now let's take some example so that the things will be much more clearer in the. Now let's say I have a diagram where I have like A, I have B, I have C on this side, I have S, I have T, I have U, I have V on this end, and what I have is my function f is like this: A map to S, B map to U, and my C map to V. So, and let this be f1. So what I can see is your f1 is for sure injective. If you go back to the definition, and then it is not surjective. This I can claim because I can see this particular part. That means I don't see anything in the format of f of, let's say, x equals to t. This is something which is missing, so that's why I don't have this kind of thing. So it is not surjective. Let's take another example. Let me draw it a bit bigger. So let's say I have A, I have B, I have C. So I'm taking some random examples. S, let me draw T, and U only. And this time I have a function f2. So, and let A be mapped to U, and B be mapped to S, and C to U once again. Right. So in this case, definitely my f3 is not injective, and if you talk about surjective, so not surjective. Right. Why? You have the answer. One is this, one is this. So now let's talk about composition of a function. I'll just throw some light on it, and then we'll move to another topic. So composition, basically everyone has heard of it. Is like your Fogg and Goff kind of thing. So let's start with this. Now let us consider a function f, which is once again from A to B, and a function g, which is like B to C. So here the codomain of f is the domain of G. This can very well be observed, right? I can see these things. Then what we do is we say that we may define a new function from A to C, which is called as composition of f and g, and written as Goff. So it is like Goff of A is G of f of A. Now one thing to note here is that your Fogg and Goff are not necessarily equal. That is, the composition functions is not commutative. So now let's talk about another variety, which is nothing but the inverse function. So like suppose we have, in fact by this time you might have got an idea what basically it is, a function f which is from a to b and it is a bijection. So your f inverse is b to a and it is called as the inverse of f by following rules, and the rule is that if suppose, this is the rule, if let's say z is an element of B, then f inverse z equals to w, where f of w equals to z. So a necessary and sufficient condition for f of a to b to have inverse of like f inverse b to a is that f should be your bijective function. Right, this is something which we need to keep in mind. The reason being your bijective was like 1 to 1 and then only the inverse will be equal, because or else there will be like some elements which will be here in B where we are unable to track the things. That's why we need to have this kind of setup where I need to have a bijective function which is f, then only this particular thing is possible. Now in addition to this, what we have is we have some more functions, right? Apart from all these things, we have some special functions. We'll quickly glance through because I know that you have already covered it, but just to give you some basic idea, one is your absolute function, or maybe let's talk about absolute value, so you'll be able to connect it with the topic which is you have covered in your maths course. So what it says is mod x, which is like either x or minus x, where if x is greater than equal to 0, and this is when x is less than 0, right? So a simple one, right? I don't need to throw some light on this, straightforward one. Another one is like your floor function, right? Or this is also called as your greatest integer function. So what it means is that this is equals to n, which means your x lies between, means x is obviously less than n plus 1 and it can be equal to n, or it can be, so let's see, if suppose I have a value, let's say any 2.2, right? So floor will be 2 based on this particular setup, although I shouldn't have added example, but yes, for the sake of explanation I have added. So let's add some more to it. After the absolute and the floor, what we have is, we have obviously a ceiling function. In this, what we get is that I have x in this format, x in this format, which is equals to n, which implies here I'll have n minus 1. That would be, it would be greater, right? And this. And then we have something called as your factorial function, right? A very familiar one once again. So your n factorial equals to your n minus 1, n minus 2, up to 3, class 2, class 1. Yeah, one thing to note is that if suppose I'm going for a 0 factorial, which this is equals to 1, and it's like this is by convention, right? So the 0 factorial will be giving me 1. Now next is your mod function, or you can call it as the remainder function. In this, if suppose I have like m mod n, so this will be like m minus your floor of m by n, n, like for example, let's say I have 8 mod 3, simple one. So it will be like 8 minus 8 by 3, this is equals to 2. Alright, 3 2s are 6, so 2 point something, which is once again 2, 2 3s are 6, 8 minus 6, which is 2. Right, once again I took the example, although I shouldn't have, but yet for the sake of explanation I have added this. Now let's take another one, exponential function. So f of x in this case will be, a to the power x, and your, in this case what we have is like a is positive constant and your x is something which can vary. Now I have introduced exponential, so obviously you might have made a guess that now I am going to talk about your logarithm. So the next thing is your logarithmic base a. Logarithmic function with base a. So in this what we get is, we get like y equals to log base a of x, which implies your a to the power y is equals to x, a simple one. And then probably the 8th one, which is your polynomial function. Now this is in a form of like, let's say p of x, which is equals to an x to the power n plus an minus 1 x to the power n minus 1 a1 x to the power 1 plus a0. That's how we have the polynomial function. So let's add quickly some more topics to our discussion, and this time I am adding your recursively defined functions, right? So it is, this is recursively defined function is the function definition that refers to itself. And this process is called recursion. Right, we can have some examples in this case also. I have like the Fibonacci sequence, which is in a form of, let's say, 0 1 1 2 3 5 and 8 and 13 and 21, and so this can be defined as f of n equals to n, where n equals to 0, 1, and your f of n equals f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2 when your n is greater than 1. Probably you know this program by recursion for finding the Fibonacci sequence. You might have practiced a lot in your C programming classes as well. So let's now talk about the growth of functions. This is also which you are covering in your data structures course. So this is like your growth of function provides a special way, to compare relative sizes of functions and your growth of a function is often described using your very familiar asymptotic notations. And these notations are nothing but your big O notations, your big omega notation, and lastly your theta notation. So I am not going into details of it because that's a part of your data structures course. And let me quickly cover a last topic which deals with your functions, which is your Hamming distance functions. Probably that would be, finishing this particular topic, which is your functions. So this Hamming distance function is basically useful in your coding theory, right? This is something which is another very important area of research. So it gives you the difference between two binary words that have same length and is defined by h of u comma v, where your u and v are binary words of same length. See, this topic is just for the sake of your knowledge, and I have just introduced you just to give you some basic idea, and it has nothing to do with your actual course. But since we have covered all these things, so I thought let me give you a basic pinch of this particular part as well. So this was all about the functions. In this discussion we talked about your injective function, we then talked about your surjective function, which is your onto, then we looked into what basically your bijective function is, which is nothing but your one-to-one function, and we talked about your into function. We then saw what basically your many-to-one function is. We also talked about your identity function, where we said that okay, this is something which is from A to A. Here only the discussion becomes very clear. And then lastly we talked about a constant function, and then we looked into some basic examples, and we talked about the Fogg and Goff, and afterwards we talked about your inverse function, where we said that okay, if a function f is bijective, then only we can go ahead with the inverse kind of options. Then we looked into your irrevertible functions, and sorry, here I should have added some special functions just like this, so I'll make the correction before sharing it with you. So in our next video we will talk about another topic, which is your matrix, some basic points on matrix, and then we will finish this particular unit.